Russia and Ukraine are trading blows, not just in the battlefield, but in diplomatic meetings too. Tonight, we'll tell you what happened at a meeting in Ankara. Delegations from Russia and Ukraine were present. A Russian official tore Ukraine's flag. What followed was quite dramatic. You have to see it to believe it.
Ти що з українським прапором робиш, а?
It's like a street brawl, and the pictures are telling. The room for diplomacy is shrinking. Both sides seem intent to battle this out. And it's only intensifying in the wake of the alleged assassination attempt on Putin. That's the big claim that Russia made this week. They said Ukraine tried to kill their president and that the US hatched this plot. To prove this, Moscow released a video. It showed a drone on top of the Kremlin. Russia says it was an attack drone. Ukraine says it had nothing to do with it. Irrespective, Russia is pounding Ukrainian cities and it is striking hard, also threatening to go after the US. Moscow says it's on the brink of war with Washington. This is what Russia's deputy foreign minister said today. Let me quote from his statement. "We're working to prevent relations with the US from plunging into the abyss of an open armed conflict. We are already standing on the edge of this precipice." What is America's response? The US says Russia is lying, that there is no basis to the claim that the drone attack was masterminded by America. Listen to this.
One thing I can tell you for certain is that the United States was not involved in this incident in any way, contrary to Mr. Peskov's lies. And that's what they are, just lies.
What about the assassination bid? Is that a lie too? The US hasn't said that yet. It says it is still gathering information and it doesn't have conclusive proof. Russia, meanwhile, is doubling down both on the battlefield and on diplomatic platforms. Their foreign minister is in India. Sergei Lavrov is participating in the SCO foreign ministers meeting. It's being held in Goa. And that's where he brought up the drone attack. He said any self-respecting country should now refuse to speak to Zelensky.
Это ясно был враждебный акт.
It was clearly a hostile act. It is absolutely clear that the Kyiv terrorists could not have committed it without the knowledge of their masters. We will not respond by talking about whether it was a casus belli or not, but we will respond with concrete actions. I would like to say it once again, we have plenty of patience. There's a saying, Russians are slow starters, and so on. Speaking about Washington's attitude, I took note of the statement by Tony Blinken, who said that the US would not dictate to Ukraine how it should defend its sovereignty. That probably says it all.
So Russia is treating this as a hostile act. It has been pounding Ukraine with missiles. The capital city of Kiev is being attacked repeatedly. Earlier today, Russian forces fired a drone at Kiev. The Ukrainian air defenses brought it down, and the moment was captured on camera.
All this brings our victory closer, our common victory. Dear friends, remember, we will destroy Russian evil. Yes, to protect our freedom, our common European way of life.
It's not clear which victory he's talking about. As things stand today, his army does not pose as big a challenge to Russia as the Wagner group does. Wagner is a group of mercenaries, a pro-Kremlin group that is fighting in the war. Wagner is leading the battle for Bakhmut, the bloodiest battle in the war so far, and the Wagner chief has sent an SOS message. Before I tell you about it, let me say this. The pictures are disturbing. We advise viewer discretion. A video has emerged. It features Yevgeny Prigozhin, the owner of the Wagner group. He's surrounded by corpses believed to be of Wagner mercenaries. Prigozhin is blaming top Russian defense officials for these deaths. Let me repeat, this is a disturbing video.
These are the guys from Wagner PMC who died today. The blood is still fresh. Film them all. We have a 70% shortage of ammunition. Shoigu, Gerasimov, where is the ammunition?
It did not end there. Earlier today, we got another video. Prigozhin is threatening to withdraw from Bakhmut. He said Wagner troops will leave Bakhmut on the 10th of May.
By May 9, 2023, we were going to capture Bakhmut settlement. However, having seen this, the paramilitary bureaucrats practically stopped the ammunition supply to prevent us from doing that. They're sitting there shaking their fat bellies and thinking that they will go down in history as winners. They already went down as cowards. I'm officially informing the Defense Minister, Chief of the General Staff, Supreme Commander-in-Chief, that my guys will not be taking unjustified losses in Bakhmut without ammunition. So on May 10, 2023, we are pulling out of Bakhmut settlement. We have left to capture 2 and something kilometers out of 45.
If this happens, it will be a huge setback for the Russian forces. The Wagner group was leading the Bakhmut offensive. If they withdraw, Russia will lose some advantage here. As Moscow opens other fronts in this war, it will have to defend gains in places like Bakhmut. Now let's turn our attention to a Balkan nation, Serbia. It's been rocked by back-to-back mass shootings this week, one of them in a school. They've left more than a dozen people dead and several others wounded. This is shocking. Such incidents are fairly uncommon outside the US. In America, you see, mass shootings are an almost daily affair. In Serbia, they're rare. So understandably, the country is stunned. It is grieving, scrambling to take action. And their president has vowed to disarm the nation. But it won't be easy. Though Serbia is a relatively small country, it has a population of just about 7 million people. It has a big problem. Stockpiles of weapons. Gun ownership in Serbia is one of the highest in Europe. Here's a report.
Serbia is mourning, overwhelmed by grief. Its people are shocked and angry, and for good reason. The Balkan country witnessed 2 back-to-back mass shootings this week. The first occurred on Wednesday. It happened at a school in Serbia's capital, Belgrade. 8 children and a security guard were killed. Who was the shooter? A 7th grade student. And while the country was still coming to terms with it, another mass shooting followed. This happened on Thursday night. The attack took place in a village about 60 kilometers from Belgrade. A shooter opened fire from a moving car, killing 8 people and injuring over a dozen others. The suspect has now been arrested. But for Serbians, this is not enough. They're demanding strict action and changes. Their reaction shows not only sadness, but also utter shock.
The first reaction was a shock. It was something unreal.
This tragedy is of cosmic proportions. Although such incidents are not unheard of, the horror of it is indescribable. The possibility of such an escalation among elementary school children was unforeseen.
Horrible. Something not seen in Serbia before. God forbid it happens again.
Something not seen in Serbia before. What are they talking about? Mass shootings are fairly common in a country like the US, but they are rare in Serbia. So while the incident itself is not a small one, in a country like Serbia, it becomes an even bigger issue. Today, the Serbian president made a speech.
This recent criminal attack, which followed an attack on our children, targeted not only those who were present near a hunting lodge or fence, but our entire country. Every citizen feels the impact of this attack. If I believed in conspiracy theories, I would have something to say. We'll practically conduct a complete disarmament of Serbia. For owning an illegal weapon, penalties will be much more severe, almost double.
He has vowed to disarm the country. He wants registered firearms to be reviewed, gun owners to take tests, psych evaluations to be held, more police officers to be recruited, and, all in all, weapon laws to be tightened. But here's what. Serbia already has strict gun laws. and mass shootings are rare. But it always felt like a disaster was waiting to happen, simply because of the country's history. Serbia is awash with illegal weapons left over from the Balkan Wars in the 1990s. Gun ownership in Serbia is the highest in Europe. In 2019, it was estimated that there are 39 firearms per 100 people, and that's the highest in the world after the US and Montenegro. So Serbia clearly needs a change, and it's waking up to its deep-rooted problems, demanding action. But right now, change seems difficult. Because if strict laws aren't enough already, one wonders what's missing. After all, tighter laws are no magic wand. So, as thousands hold vigils and stand in lines to donate blood to the injured, we hope Serbia is ready to fight another bloody war, one that has been silently brewing within its borders.
And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. Taiwan is conducting civilian drills to prepare for a Chinese attack. This is amid rising tensions between the neighbors. In Denmark, slackliners drew in crowds in the capital city of Copenhagen. They walked a 160-meter-long high line strung 15 meters above the ground. In Italy, Naples is exploding with joy. The city has finally won its first Serie A soccer title in over 3 decades. And now, taking you back in history, why is the 5th of May significant? Let's go back to the year 1961. Today, America sent its first astronaut in space, Alan B. Shepard Jr., who was launched 185 kilometers into space. He made a 15-minute suborbital flight. That'll be all for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Monday.
Applause from the 120 or so people. He's going up with, I believe, Dr. Douglas and another technician, a spacesuit technician. Liftoff. Liftoff at 34 minutes after the hour.
Email exchanges from inside the BBC, they talk about the risk of violating Indian laws. It's easier to rake up the freedom of speech debate, but does it give anyone a free pass to knowingly violate the law? America supports India because it needs India's support in return. And India is working with the US because it suits India's interests. This is how geopolitics works. Last night, he diffused a crisis with his defense minister. But today, Netanyahu was confronted with a new problem. His cabinet seems to have rebelled against him. The UK is looking at the Indian subcontinent to fill its coffers. That India seems to be negotiating from a position of power, like a partner and not a former colony.